Okay, we'll call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. We have a quorum. Y'all want to send a moment of prayer, please? Father God, we come to thee tonight asking for your love, understanding, your guidance, the decisions we've got to make for this district. We pray that you help us to be accepting of your grace and of all that you've given us, and help us to be more faithful in our service to you, and help us to always love Christ for the sacrifice he made for us on Calvary's cross. Pray that you be with all of our students as they travel this spring to different events, and keep them safe and bring them home. And we pray that you would be with all our staff and administrators and everyone else as well. And these things we ask in Jesus' name.
We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, we're moving to item 5, recognition of guests.
A special recognition to Mr. Sexton, who took a lot of his own personal time to work with those students in order to help them make it to state. The band also recently went to the concert and sight reading competition for UIL as a full band, and we made straight ones with all 6 of our judges, which means we earned a sweepstakes this year with our marching scores in the fall.
Very good.
Of course. We have Gunnar Brassfield, Grayson, Reese, I'm sorry, Reese. And then Michael and Dave Dobbs.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You got this.
Do we have any other guests today? Yeah, good job. Okay, moving on to open forum. We have no one signed up, so we'll go to new business. Consent agenda, approve the minutes for February 4th, February 11th, and February 13th meeting.
Yes, and those meetings have not changed, so they were just the original meetings that we had for our board meeting. Then we have 2 deeds, Vaughn and Gersberger, that I guess they're going to purchase those lots. Tanya's going to have to go to residence for us.
Okay. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda item as presented.
I have a motion by Chad. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor? No opposed? Motion passes.
All right, you're going to get those notarized real quick?
8:40. Yeah, and then I also have another thing to bring this out.
Yeah.
If you want to do it right now.
If you want to leave the other one that they need to sign, I can sign it with mine.
Okay.
For those Alex.
Yes.
Or you can have them sign.
Oh, it is something. Oh.
Sorry, you're quick up here.
I know. Yeah, these are applications we're just verifying, and I checked the registry for the registry already, so I'll check that out. So you're just gonna sign it. No, no. No, just not the deeds.
Thank you. Okay, then we'll move to our regular agenda.
All right, we need to approve a donation in the amount of $3,765.30 from Cindy Carr, and I believe they use that to purchase new uniforms. Is that correct? Softball uniforms, yeah.
Okay, I have a recommendation, I have a motion.
I move to approve a donation in the amount of $3,765.30 from Cindy Carr for softball.
Have a motion by Doug, do I have a second? Second. Second by Josh, all in favor? None opposed, motion passes. Okay, approve a donation in the amount of $1,000 from an anonymous for athletics.
Yes. Well, nothing more to say, really.
That's all you got, man.
You got it.
All right. So, we have a recommendation, do I have a motion?
I move to approve a donation in the amount of $1,000 from Anonymous for athletics.
Motion by Logan, do I have a second? Second by Trey, all in favor? Motion passes. Discuss MOU with the city of Fritch.
Okay, in your packet, I've included an MOU that we have drafted, or the city of Fritz drafted up to have a resource officer in our school district. And I've looked through this. I didn't put it as an action item because I wanted you to have a chance to look it over, ask questions. We have a representative here from the city that we can ask questions about. I did look through the agreement myself and sent some questions back and forth with our the city manager. And a couple of my questions, we just wanted, it's in section 2.4, just about the selection of the SRO. It's going to be made by the Fritz Police Department, but I wanted to make sure we had input just on about, making sure it was the right fit for our students. They have the police enforcement knowledge when we have the just knowledge about our students and our climate. And, they assured me there would be plenty of collaboration between city and us about, the right fit. Another of my questions was at 3.2 about the work hours. I was a little bit concerned just because originally you talked about having them go to all the extracurricular events. When we started thinking about all the extracurricular events on top of a full, work week, there's not enough time to get all of that in on the hours. And so we started talking a little bit about, maybe we prioritize events that we have them go to in the evenings. For sure, I feel like the day is the priority times, to make sure we have somebody on campuses. But then maybe have them at home football games or games that are more contentious, maybe like when we have games with Stinnett or, some that could be a little more high profile type games. The city is typically here in the evenings or a sheriff or someone's here in the night games, and we do have people popping in and out of basketball games and things like that. But as far as required time, there's not enough hours really to require them to come to everything and to be able to afford to pay that as well. So I don't know what you guys want to think about that. Let's see, another question that we discussed is 8.1, just about, where did they come up with the salary, the benefits, some of those kind of questions. And we talked a little bit about, we're paying 80%, we talked about paying 80% of the salary, where they're going to pay 20%, but then they're also going to cover the retirement, the benefits. What else did we talk about?
Equipment, uniforms.
Equipment, uniforms, they're going to cover all of that, so that's what we had talked. Yeah, the training's another thing we talked about, that's my next one. Section 10, the way that we talked a little bit about changing the wording for this one, that the city's gonna pay for, you know, all of the licensure requirements as far as in law enforcement, and then we feel like we should be responsible for SRO-specific costs, training costs. And those were the biggest things we talked about. I feel like it's a good agreement. It's written basically similar to what a lot of the other ones are. So I don't know if y'all have a chance to look through it and have questions or concerns that you want to talk with us, the city.
It wasn't in there yet when I went through it, so I haven't checked.
Okay.
I hadn't had a chance to go through it.
Yeah.
Seth, do you have anything you want to add to it?
Are you talking, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do either one of y'all have anything you want to add to it?
I have been thinking a little bit more about the salary and even talking to the secretary and stuff like that, and we wondered if maybe we could, this was just what I came up with. It's true to what we would pay, but with an SRO, we might could do something more similar to a stipend, kind of like you do for your coaches, where you do require more time after hours for them. This was kind of built in with some hours that would be required after, but we might could look at it that way and just set a set salary and say, you know, you're also going to have a stipend for being at those certain events or spending at least so many hours at those events. So it's, I mean, we could definitely play with the salary and all of that, and I've figured up some different options if y'all want to look at those, you know, more hour based. But you know, you could always just say, you know, I think the normal hours were around 41 hours a week would be just normal school hours, but you could, you know, say. Just give them, and I'm just throwing numbers out there, but like $5,000 to additional to be at events. So, I mean, you can kind of word it different, and we can do, when we do a contract or something for it, we could do something similar to that. If y'all would be more open to that, you know, maybe an easier way to approach it if you do want them at every event. But
Since they haven't had time, maybe they could look over it and then they could send me, you want to email me questions and thoughts? And then we can kind of communicate back and forth and come up with maybe another draft that we can have in maybe a little earlier for the next one. And
yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
I've been thinking a lot about it anyway, so I have some different ideas.
Okay.
And we can throw those out there.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling Christina, you know, thinking about the hours that we put in, like coming to work every day and then going to all events, like 40 hours would be a dream. You know what I mean? But I understand traditional work schedules are closer to the 40, 41 hours, but a stipend would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not either.
No.
So a stipend might be a way to kind of help capture if we want to add in additional coverage for some of our events that don't fit in this.
And that doesn't mean that I won't be sending my other officers to events as well.
That's what I was fixing to say, is that even necessary?
Right, I don't know, it may not be necessary because, I mean, we really see that there's been cops
Well,
that.
I can't require them to be there the whole time. When other calls and things come out, they do have other duties in the city. But I try to get them to go up there as much as possible. I ask them to be there as much as possible. But the school resource officer would be required to be there.
I know county comes up quite a bit
Yes.
for some of them.
Mhm.
We even had some DPS officers at football games. I
Yes.
think they like to come watch it.
That all changed after the Uvalde stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I feel like we all probably agree, school hours is the priority.
Yes.
You know what I mean? School hours is the priority, and then there may be some events that would be higher priority. I mean, you know that as well. So it may fit in this time frame in the end, but, you know, I don't know. I would like them to have time to look over it and send me some thoughts.
I don't think it'd be a priority to have to go out of town. I don't,
No,
for the
no,
most part, everybody else has their own SRO
Yeah.
that's there or whatever.
right, no. So, okay, so we can look over it, they can send me questions, I can communicate back and forth with you, and then we can, talk again.
Okay, I'll make a motion to table this to a future meeting. Have a second? No action.
No, I didn't put any action on it.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
No action, all right, sorry.
So it does say in the agenda, it is an action item.
Oh, it is? I didn't put it on here. Okay, so we can go ahead and do that.
Okay, all right, do I have a second?
Logan, second.
Second. All in favor?
Table.
None opposed, motion's tabled.
There's a lot on here. Try to get everybody in here this morning.
Okay, we're going to discuss possible action on the district financial auditor.
Yes, so Mark Kyle sent me his just annual renewal for him to be the auditor again for the 26-27 school year. This is his engagement letter. And he's done a great job for us, so I'd like to continue if you guys are okay with it.
Anybody? No discussion? Any questions? Okay, I have a recommendation, I have a motion.
Move to approve the engagement letter with Kyle and Company.
Have a motion by Josh, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Chad, all in favor? None opposed, motion passes. Okay, discuss possible action on instructional materials and technology allotment.
All right, I'll let Ms. Carr talk about that.
So this is just like a certification that we have to do with TEA about what curriculum and instructional materials we'll use in the next school year in all core classes. And basically, it's the same as last year. The only curriculum changes that we'll be making for the school year next year is that we are changing our secondary math. So 6th through 12th grade, we are adopting McGraw-Hill Texas math for next year, so that's the only change to that. So I think y'all just have to certify that those are the materials that we're using.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that? Concerns? Not, I have a recommendation, a motion.
I move to approve the instructional materials and technology allotment for the 2026-2027 school year.
A motion by Doug, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Stacy. All in favor? None opposed, motion passes. Approve the low attendance waivers for December 17th, 2025 and December 18th, 2025.
Yes, so on December 17th and December 18th, we had very high or very low attendance rates because at our elementary school due to illness. On December 17th, our attendance rate was 68.2%. December 18th, it was 61.6%. And so TEA gives us the flexibility to request a waiver, and they basically strike those 2 days so it doesn't affect our ADA and affect our dollars. And so you guys have to approve that. We have documentation showing, we've got sign-out sheets, nurse logs. We also have Facebook posts, parent square message posts that show the communication we've had, just documenting that we have all of that. So it's not something that we're making up. So we submit all of that documentation along with your board vote to get TA to approve those days to be struck off for elementary school.
Okay. I have any questions, concerns? If not, I have a recommendation, I have a motion.
I move to approve the low attendance waiver for December 17th, 25 and December 18th, 25.
Motion by Chad, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug, all in favor? None opposed, motion passes. Discuss and possible action on bus inventory, seatbelt quotes, and the ability for Sanford Franchise D to pay to replace all seatbelts to 3-point harnesses per State Bill 546.
Yes, so Senate Bill 546 requires us to talk about whether or not we can afford as a district to retrofit all school buses with the 3-point harnesses that they are going to require. We have 8 buses currently that are not equipped with the 3-point harness systems. We have quotes, which I've included for you just to look over. They're $40,000 to $50,000 per bus to retrofit for 3-point harnesses, which would be about a $320,000 to $400,000 cost to the district to put those seatbelts in. Right now, this is an unfunded mandate by the state, of course. They're really not even saying right now that they're gonna enforce it, but they're wanting to see if districts think they can afford it. And I obviously don't think that that's something we can afford right now. And so you guys just have to approve yes or no, do you think we can afford it based on the information? And these quotes are just possible. They won't even give us exact quotes right now because the amount of buses that this has to be done in the district. And then a lot of districts are finding out that some of them are not just bus seatbelt replacements, they're having to take out floors. When you start taking out floors, you mess with integrity of bus safety, and so that's kind of where we're at. So we need to decide yes or no. I think we vote no, that we cannot afford this.
Any other discussion, any questions? Does everyone feel generally the same about that, I think? Okay. I have a recommendation, I have a motion. Make sure we word that.
Yes, so we would need to say that we do not have the ability to pay.
Okay.
I move to vote that SFISD does not have the financial resources to pay for the cost of replacing all seatbelts in current buses to 3-point harnesses per Senate Bill 546.
Okay, I have a motion by Doug, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Stacy, all in favor? None opposed, motion passes. Discuss possible action to order 2 new route buses that will be reimbursed by 80% from the grant, SFISD.
Yes, so we talked last time about the grant that we received to pay 80% of the cost of 2 new route buses. Part of the grant is the requirement that we purchase those buses ahead of time. We can't borrow money, we have to purchase it from our fund balance, and then they reimburse us for 80%. I put in a quote, we got a quote from a bus who has them. We actually can get them before school's even out. We can get them probably in the next couple weeks and go ahead and get them in our fleet. They said it takes 60 to 90 days to get the reimbursement from them. There are some things we have to do. The old buses that we're replacing have to go to a specific junkyard. They have to be disabled so you can never use them again. There's a lot of requirements, but we've got all of those handled. So I would recommend that we go ahead and purchase these so we can get that grant initiated. The 2 buses together are $324,243.90, and so we would be reimbursed $259,395.12.
Do they have 3-point harnesses?
They have 3-point harnesses. I double checked and checked,
That's what I was going to ask.
which then takes our fleet down to 6 that wouldn't have what we need if the mandate becomes available, but they do have the 3-point harnesses.
So we get rid of the other 2 buses.
We'll get rid of the other 2.
Work in the right direction.
That moves us in the right direction.
And you wouldn't be better off to salvage yourself the buses.
Right. And you can't, because that's part of the grant, you cannot salvage.
Right, I meaning versus.
Right,
So
yes.
it's like, well, you could sell and get X amount.
Right, and these 2 are the 2 that we've needed to replace anyway. They were our last 2.
probably riding on them.
Yeah, they're the last 2 that need to go away anyway. So it worked out at a nice time for us to be able to get the grant to cover most of the cost of buses that we had wanted to do anyway. Then now we have all new nice buses that are safer, not the old buses. Shouldn't have as many issues.
We'll get rid of 2 that we don't have to see.
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. All right, I have a recommendation, I have a motion for that.
I move to approve the purchases of 2 new route buses that will be reimbursed by 80% from the grant received by SFISD.
Okay, I have a motion by Chad, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Logan, all in favor? None opposed, the motion passes. Chromebooks, discuss purchase of new Chromebooks as part of that SFISD technology upgrade plan.
Yes, so it's time to upgrade Chromebooks. We are planning on ordering 199 new Chromebooks. We've already budgeted for these this year, but due to the cost, it's $58,000 to 28801 to purchase the Chromebooks to replace those. It's a required vote for you guys.
Go back to books.
Yeah, you know, we're starting to do that a lot more in a lot of the rooms, but we still need the Chromebooks for a lot of things we do.
Yeah. So, do we turn in the old Chromebook?
I think, so Chromebooks only the licenses and the way they update only go for so many years.
Right.
And there is some sort of a program that they do, like, I don't know if they resell them, but I know they clear the memories and they do something with it. I don't know exactly what
They'll
it
actually reimburse a little bit as a trade.
is. Mhm.
Well, that helps.
The Chromebooks aren't really usable. Kendra, can you tell me a little more about that? They're not really usable beyond, was it 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, once they run out of their auto update, they just basically no longer function very well. Our testing applications won't work after a certain period of time, especially since they're updating every year, so we won't be able to use them. Typically what we do is when we provision them, we'll send them off for recycling. We harvest whatever parts we can to try to fix and maintain what we have. Anything that's compatible, which the models we've been getting are pretty compatible together with the pieces that they use, so it's, yeah.
So there's no monetary, you just recycle?
Correct.
So we break this down into how many purchases?
We could just, you could
Is it
just.
many per year or?
Yeah, it's like so many per every so many years, I can't remember. But these are replacing a lot of the ones we got at the COVID time. It's that,
They're 5 years.
they're 5 years of its time.
So you stagger them out every
Yes.
X amount of Chromebooks, that way we're not doing it all at once?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure what we're replacing right now, we have the 2020 Chromebooks at the elementary school. There's a good chunk of those they're starting to die anyway, but they're the old G6 model. There's about 160 of those. I think most of the replacements are going towards that, and then some towards the high school and junior high school.
I think it's budgeted a third of the Chromebooks are replaced each year.
Each year. That's what I was thinking, it broke down to 3 years. And then there's a gap there to 3 years.
Mhm.
We have it budgeted, so far we've had it budgeted the last 2 years for sure.
Well, COVID was our first. little
Yeah.
round of it, I think.
Right, our first major
Right.
purchase of those.
Okay. Have a recommendation, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the purchase of new Chromebooks as part of, as part of the SFISD technology upgrade plan from Howard Technology Solutions.
I have a motion by Doug, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Josh, all in favor? None opposed, motion passes. Okay, discuss and possible action on the proposal to add wrestling to the SFISD athletic program starting with the 2026-2027 school year.
Yes, I'm gonna let Coach Bennett talk. He had approached me. We've had several people interested in wrestling. He wanted to talk a little bit about it and present this to you.
So when I first arrived here, I had a few people in the community come up and talk to me and ask me what my opinion was on wrestling and what they thought the value of it would be coming to our school. And throughout time of being here, more and more people have communicated with me on that, so I started to do a little bit more research on what it would be for the cost of the district, what type of kids would be interested. I also took a look at our current winter season right now, and of our 65 roughly boy athletes that are in athletics, 40 plus of them do not play a winter sport. On the girls' side, the numbers are roughly around 45, and there are 30 girls that do not play a winter sport. So when I started to look at those large numbers, and my big belief on athletics is anytime we can get our kids competing, I would love to have our kids in sports at all times of the school year, whether fall, winter, and spring. And that, don't get me wrong, off season and training and all that is fantastic, but to me, when you're competing out on a court, field, whatever that might be, I believe that you gain so much more from the different aspects of sports and the different styles of sports. Wrestling, I believe wrestling not only does it, it's an individual sport within a team sport. I believe that very similar to cross country, track, golf, you are responsible for yourself in the competition, and you have the ability to go out and perform at the best of your ability, to whether you're positive, whether you're winning or you're failing, you are learning the ability to compete. I believe that wrestling also brings an attitude for our students, that a physical attitude that is going to benefit us in football, basketball, sports that are contact and or collision sports. When I talked to the students and I kind of asked them if they would be interested about it, we had 40 students at the 8th grade through 11th grade that were interested in it. Once again, through community conversations and people coming to me, I've never gone and talked to anybody about it, that people have come to me. They said that we have a large number of kids that were Fritch kids, grew up in Fritch, that would come back, that still live here, that go to other schools because they offer wrestling in that aspect of it. When I started to break down wrestling into what it would look like financially to our district, as you can see in the proposal, it would roughly cost us about $17,000 a year within coaching stipends. The startup costs anywhere between $9,000 and $10,000. Roughly, we have another school that is willing to donate mats to us. They would be a competition style mat, but they wouldn't be a competition mat, so we wouldn't be able to host a meet in that respect. I did speak with the UIL on the ability to add wrestling with the new realignment, how that would look. Wrestling is not a UIL sport that comes out until April 1st, so they haven't put it in any districts. So if it was to be approved, that we would be able to talk with the UIL, which would put us in Region 1, District 2, which would put us up against schools like Dumas, Amarillo, Borger, those type of schools. I don't feel our school size would impede us in our ability to compete at that level, since it is individual and at a weight class divisions. So a kid who's 106 pounds will be wrestling a kid who's 106 pounds, boys or girls, in that respect. Of those 40 kids, 15 of them were girls that were very interested in it. So about 38-40% of our team would be both of those. Coach Baldwin, he has been a part of a state championship wrestling team. He was on that team that won a state championship when he was in high school. He also has coached wrestling for a 5-year period prior. I have wrestling experience. And then my thought was to have a girl coach on staff, because there'll be some level of hand-to-hand instruction that I believe having a female coach would benefit us in those scenarios. But, I guess the better question is, do you guys have any questions on why wrestling or anything of that nature?
So is this just high school and beyond, or is it junior high included? Or?
It would just be high school, because when I looked into it and I've talked with other schools that have wrestling, junior high wrestling is more done through a MAC club, which is an organization. MAC clubs pop up everywhere all over places that have wrestling, and so it's no different than just kind of a private place. You go and you learn and you train, and then you can go to your own individual meets or invitationals. So with the junior high, there's not really a junior high meet circuit that we would be able to attend, along with, it would be a 9th through 12th grade.
And also in here you put minimal modifications. What are we talking modifications?
What page are you referring to?
I think he's just talking about facilities, all you have to do is roll that out.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, there'd be no modifications to our facilities. We would be able to house those mats in either the turf room or off to the side in our JV gym, back in that corner that kind of takes you the entrance into the weight room. So there would be no modifications to our facilities needed to have a wrestling team perform practices, those type of things.
Good.
Does this include travel costs as well?
It does not include travel costs, so typically you're anywhere from 4 to 6 meets within a school year, and then you would have your district meet, possible state meet. So no, that would probably be about max 6,500 to 10,000, depending on if a student qualified for the state meet, travel down to that. But just your everyday paying for meet costs, food, and then anything that our bus travel would accrue, I would probably put it right around 6,500 on the minimum. The kids that are making it into the further, we wouldn't need to be taking buses. We could take Suburbans, which would decrease our costs in that respect.
And then you said the district's going to be aligned basically in the Panhandle.
Yes, sir. Within Amarillo North.
Okay, and so I'm curious. I know when my kids were in school here, we had several really, really good athletes leave and go to Border
Yes.
because of wrestling. So this may be a stupid question, I don't know, but do they do football and wrestling, or is it one or the other?
So wrestling is a winter sport. That's a great question. So wrestling is a winter sport, so you would complete football, cross country, volleyball, and then you would have your choice between wrestling and basketball.
Okay, wrestling and basketball.
Yes,
Okay.
and so wrestling
Okay.
runs roughly about middle of November, and the state championships are right around that February, right around playoff time for basketball, which then would allow that student to participate in track, golf, baseball, or softball in the spring. So it would give us an opportunity to have kids play 3 sports. Right now, like I said, we have roughly 60 kids, boys and girls, that are just in off-season doing weightlifting, training, running, doing those type of things that I believe would benefit from competing on another indoor sport.
So it would be easier probably on your coaching staff too, like, since it's not, I was thinking it was competing with football, but it's not, so it's.
No ma'am, yes, during the winter. And I've kind of looked at our coaching staff. I've made up a hypothetical coaching staff. We would be adding no coaches to our district because we have the coaches on staff that I feel that are capable of running that program. So there would be no addition of people to it. It would just be people doing other jobs at that time. So right now I believe we have 6 coaches not coaching in the winter, and some of those would pick up basketball coaching jobs so that some of those coaches that were coaching basketball, like Coach Baldwin, would move into the wrestling if that were it.
On the girls' side, does the Coach Hughes, does she carry wrestling background?
She does not, but the way that we've looked at it, we've discussed, is that the coaches, Coach Baldwin, with his knowledge, my knowledge, we would do a whole group instruction, which is a lot of how wrestling practices occur. So a move is taught, kids are sitting in a circle, a move is taught, instructed on, then they break up into pairs or threes, and then they continue to practice that so coaches can go around and monitor if hands needed to be on, having that female coach to kind of demonstrate more of how that move would work would be the ideal situation.
Another one I had, and you might have covered it, but how did you figure the estimated long-term net gain?
So typically when you look at what a school, and I know the numbers aren't exact, but when a school looks at it from a standpoint of each student's, them sitting in the chair all year long, roughly receive from the states are roughly around $6,000. And that if we were to receive some of those transfers that Ms. Booth referred to, that we did have kids who have left, we do have younger kids that are in other districts. With them coming back, we would gain that ADM, which then with our current costs, the $17,000 for coaching plus take the startup costs out of it, we would have a net gain for our district for that time period. And then any other kid that potentially would want to be a part of our school, because I mean, I feel like we're doing some really good things here academically, athletically, that may not want to be at one place and want to be here. We would potentially have an influx of kids that are wanting to be athletes, that want to have high academics, could be anything of that nature.
Now, if we did have a transfer from another, let's say Border, for instance, and this gets approved, so yeah, we want 5 kids want to come back to Fridge, do they have to sit out a year?
If they were in high school, yes. So if they were to transfer over as a high school 9 through 12 student, so let's just say a kid is going into, is an 8th grader currently, wants to transfer over, they would be varsity ineligible, but they would be JV eligible, so they would still get to compete. but they would not be allowed to play varsity. If it was a 7th grader that came over, and let's just say a group of parents or the coaches wanted to run a mat club for the younger kids, just as an opportunity for them to start training, they would have that ability and they would not be impacted when they got to high school. So the rule in the UIL is 1 calendar year. So if I enrolled this year, 2025, August 18th, on August 18th, 2026, I am now varsity eligible no matter where I live in the state of Texas and no matter what school I've transferred to.
I didn't know if that was like, if there was a clause for like a new program starting up.
Now, the only clause in that would be if a parent, if there happened to be a teacher that we hired that had 4 sons that were wrestlers, as they move over, they have a 1-year grace period at any age to get moved over into that district and still remain living in their previous district. That would allow them to be varsity eligible.
Okay, does anybody else have any other questions? If not, I have a recommendation, I have a motion.
I move to approve wrestling to SFISD athletic program starting in 2026, 2027 school year.
A motion by Doug, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Chad, all in favor? None opposed, motion passes. Okay, discuss and possible action on the SFISD 2026-2027 school calendar.
Okay, so as you know, we've been researching and talking about this in September when we did our first initial, we did the community surveys just to see what the initial interest was. In those surveys, was about an 80% positive rate for the community thinking it was a great idea. So then we started our committees talking a little bit more about that, drew up a couple possible calendars. We've had some town hall meetings with some questions, and then we sent out the, on February 13th, I sent out the initial parent guardian vote, as well as staff vote for the 4 or 5 day calendar options. I sent the reminder, had it reminded out on February 20th and then also on February 26th. We had 702 parents and guardians that were notified. All of our staff were notified. And then out of the 702 parents, guardians were notified, we had 194 people that voted. The votes were 79, close to 80%, like 79.8% for the 4 day. The other 20% were for the 5 day. Staff was around a 99% vote rate for the 4 day. So, seems fairly positive, community staff voting for the 4 day calendar. I did have some questions, from Trey about the free and reduced meals. I'll put that paper on all of your, just so you kind of know what we're looking at. I'm assuming just kind of like what meals and things like that would be. That just talks about how many people we have qualified for free and reduced and versus how many actually participate, how many bring their own meals, just for information for you guys to help if that's a question that you have as well. I sent the survey out three times.
Plus your town hall.
Plus my town hall, plus our initial survey when we did the general for all of the community. And then we also posted reminders on Facebook as well to remember to go to your surveys and vote. 194 honestly is a fairly decent amount of vote for when we send things out. The original survey, we had 600 people vote for the original, but that was to the community. I felt like when I sent this survey out, I specifically sent one to staff for their own, and then I sent one to just parents and guardians, because parents and guardians are the ones who actually are affected by the calendar option, not just, the community is affected some, but the parents and guardians, to me, are the ones that should get the vote for their students' calendar.
So the staff is not included in this 702?
Staff is not in the 702.
Okay. How many staff did you say?
125. And we had 2 staff members that voted for the 5-day, and everyone else voted for the 4-day.
And what was the participation in the staff?
100%.
100%?
Yes. I did have one staff member, I just want to throw this out there, I did have one staff member reach out to me. She's a math teacher at the elementary school, and her, she said, I just want to make sure I'm voting for what's right for my students. She was not taking it on a personal level. She wanted to look at the Blue Bonnet curriculum because she says, it's sometimes hard to get all the materials in, and she said, I want to make sure I'm doing the right vote for my students, not just personally. So she asked if I could send her one of the blueprints for the 4-day calendars for the Blue Bonnet Learning. Region 16 has those already because they work with other schools in the area that are on Blue Bonnet Learning and have the 4-day calendar. So I sent her those plans, and she looked all of those through, and then in the end she did vote for the 4-day calendar option as well, because she told me she feels like it's viable to get her lessons in with the 4-day calendar option based on how we can set up our class schedules too.
I know there was some questions and concerns about athletics. I appreciate the email that you sent out, Coach Ben. You want to embellish on that any bit?
Yes, sir. So with the email that I sent out, we talked about the number of hours that kids are currently in the school day / athletics with their practice times and all of that. What the 4-day calendar would look like, which is, I believe, came out anywhere from 6 to 7 hours less, depending on the junior high or high school. I did put a time frame on there roughly from for the high school kids. I put till 7 p.m. The only thing I would like to say on that is that would really be a football impact till 7 p.m. because school day getting out at 4 p.m. by the time you get pads on, warmed up, get prepared for practice and a 2.5-hour practice, that puts you closer to 7 on a Monday and Tuesday night, not on Wednesday, so it wouldn't affect anybody wanting to go to their youth groups or anything of that nature. I did talk with a few of the coaches when it comes to basketball or volleyball, baseball, softball, track, those type of situations where there's less time for equipment to get dressed and those type of things. They would still end roughly around that. They've been ending right around between 5 and 5:30. It'll probably be closer to that 5:30, 5:45 time. So that 7 o'clock time is a little misleading. It isn't to football kids, but to other sports it's less impactful, I guess, than what I sent out initially. I guess I was looking at worst case scenario, but the number of hours they potentially could be in the school.
With junior high sports, like this year, y'all do practice on Fridays usually, you have games on Thursdays, basketball games on Tuesdays, Thursdays. Are you going to continue to not, are they going to be, if it's Friday that's off, will they not come and practice on Friday at all?
So no, we actually have talked with myself and the boys staff have talked with when in regards to football. We would still bring them up. We're looking at roughly about a 90-minute practice for junior high and JV because the JV will play it on a Thursday, junior high would have played on a Thursday. That allows us 45 minutes to watch film with those junior high kids and then go out and do a 45-minute practice while the other half of the staff is doing the 45-minute film session with the JV opposite, practicing with the JV first and then coming back. That allows those kids to go home. I believe on the boys side, we have 5 CDLs, so if rides were an issue or parents had an issue of getting them up, we could set up a number of, let's say 5 locations where kids meet and we come around and pick those kids up, bring them in, we do our practice film session and then take them home and drop them off at those locations that are walkable back to their neighborhoods, which then would allow us a few hour kind of break, bring the high school kids back up and start preparing for the evening game.
I want to jump off that real quick. That brings up at-will staff. What will they be doing?
So what we've talked about is at-will staff, it's just mimicking other districts. So what they've done is at-will staff will be required to work a minimum of 36 hours to get their 40-hour pay. We don't want to hurt anybody's pay because of the change in the calendar, but that's typically what we do as far as like summer hours, and so that would be a requirement that they would have to work 36 to get the 40-hour pay.
I was just curious about running the bus routes for picking up.
Oh, for athletes, yeah,
On Friday.
yeah. Well, coaches are really, I mean, we could get our bus drivers this
I
week.
didn't, if they were gonna be here, I didn't know.
Right, yeah. Coaches have offered if they needed to do that.
If the need is big enough that where parents aren't able to, or kids aren't able to walk because they live on this side of the highway, and it's a little bit further, not safe
Right.
without sidewalks and those type of things, so now that we're getting sidewalks.
Okay, thank you, Coach Bennett. Kim, I want to thank you too, time and effort you put into this. Anybody have any questions?
I have one more for Coach Bennett.
Okay.
Just kind of thinking about the 5 locations, what were you exactly thinking, roughly thinking about these locations?
To be honest, I had not, I was throwing an arbitrary number out of
Okay.
5 locations. If it has to be 7 or 10, then that's what it needs to be. But the goal would be that it would be somewhere in that 45-minute or less transportation through. I can't imagine being more than 45 minutes to go pick up the number of kids. Thinking off the top of my head, so Arroyo Grande, Arroyo Verde would be one area. Obviously, near the Lowe's area would be another one. The DQ would be another one, and then there would probably be 3 or 4 on this side of the highway.
We could send out some, like surveys to see, if transportation's needed, what's your address, and we can map out some
Right.
routes to help.
Would be situational,
Yes,
kind of, okay.
yeah.
Right, if we
Because
have 5.
Sometimes, some people may not need it depending on what their parent situation is. They may be off too, could get them here, but we for sure would look at the routes and figure something out. We don't want kids to not be able to make it here.
Especially if we have
Or kids from participating.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, we don't want it to harm participation in anything.
Because, have a parent at home say, well, I'm not gonna be here, but I need my kid to walk 5 blocks to go get picked up on the route to go to sports, it might defer
Mhm.
some.
Yeah, no, and I know they want participation to stay up as well, so I know they're willing to do whatever it takes to help.
If we're talking 10 to 15 kids, we could probably take 2 minis and make more of home visits if that is a necessity versus trying to put our big buses down
Right.
tight streets.
Okay. We cover everything. Anybody else have any questions?
No, you know I'm gonna say something. Logan's like, you're not gonna talk, and I'm like, I'm gonna talk. Yeah. So I want to thank you for everything you've done. I've been against this. This is not the first time this has ever been brought up in our district. I've been on the board a very long time. It's never went this far, but nobody's done the work that she's done. I just want people to know, even though 194 voted for it, there's a lot of people that are real concerned about the change. I hate change. There's a lot of people concerned that, and I'm one, our school is doing so well. Why change? Why change now? We're doing so well. I've always been for the teachers and the students. I get it why the teachers don't want it. I don't work Fridays. I love it. I totally get it. Do I think it's the best for the students? I still do not. I'm not convinced. But I will say, no matter what I vote, still haven't made my mind up, and I know we're fixing to do it. I will back her and the admin. They will do a good job. She has the kids' interests best. If we do start to fail, I really see them stepping in. We saw through COVID how resilient kids are. They're so adaptable. I know they can adapt. Is it best for them? This grandma, I don't think so. I don't think so. I've had, of course, all my grandkids do not want it. So if I vote yes, I'm going to be in trouble. I've had kids come up to me and they didn't get a vote. The kids absolutely did not get a vote. They don't want to lose part of their summer. They don't want to lose, their morning things. Well, one of mine absolutely doesn't want to get up that early for football and all that, but he will be there if that's what it takes. The kids, I saw it Friday when we were out of school for spring break. I went to 3 different houses picking up kids so they could all have a get-together because they weren't together. They were all on Facebook, you know, their phones, their iPads. I think there's going to be so many kids home by themselves. They're going to be more on screen time. You know, I understand some kids are going to do well with it. I think some kids are going to struggle. I was kind of disappointed in some of the teachers that threw out we're not babysitters. I've never thought of the teachers as babysitters. I loved school. I loved my teachers. School is a place for affirmation. There's so many houses that you do not get it. You get it from your teachers. They love these kids where they may not get it at home. So, that's my soapbox. No matter what I vote, hopefully my grandkids will talk to me again. But I do trust that y'all will have their best interests at heart. But change is hard. It's hard. I think there's people that are going to have to either not work Fridays or pay babysitters or taking money out of their pockets. Kids that may not get meals 5 days. They may only get them 4. So it's a concern. It's hard. I don't know if everybody else has struggled, but I struggled over this.
I've gone back and forth. It doesn't really affect me because my wife stays at home, but I understand the concerns you're talking about. And at the end of the day, I'm going to go off the survey because that was available to everybody to vote. But at the same time, I mean, the kids not eating on Fridays and being home by themselves was the biggest one of those. But
I know we talked about snack pack for kids, being able to put extra food in for those kids that need it. And I know change is hard, right? The fear of the unknown. What's it going to be like? You don't know until you get there. But a lot of times growth happens in those hard seasons. Those seasons of change. And it was an overwhelming, the ones that responded, I mean, overwhelmingly in favor of it. And, you know, again, struggles, right? Because what about the few? But there may not be kids getting affirmation at home, but there may be kids that get more time with their parents because one or the other are off and they get to nurture that relationship instead of not seeing them for 5 days. And because I'm off every other Friday, would love to see my kids more often other than drop them off at school and pick them up, you know, and then we're off to a ball game or something else, but getting to spend more time with them on weekends. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to all of it, and it's hard, but like Stacy said, that, and Kim, you've talked about it, if we feel like it's not working, then we're going to do something about it. We'll be proactive and
falls on his face and change the calendar back to 5 day next year.
Yeah, me and Kim discussed this at great lengths, and that's some of the things we've talked about. If our scores start suffering, we always have that option of going back if we feel like that's the need. And the meals, we've talked some about what maybe we can do to help out with that on Fridays as well. I mean, it wouldn't be no more extra cost because we'd be feeding them on Fridays if they're here. So if we got students in need of it, then I think we can handle that as well.
Can I tell you why the high school's so low on their meals is because the church has been feeding them. So the churches have really picked up and been serving meals where our cafeteria is not seeing as many too. That's why high school's so low.
That's one of the reasons why I requested, this, or asked for this, is because, you can only assume that the kids that, 179 according to this, total on three campuses, that were that I would say depend on 2 meals a day, and then, we take away Fridays. Now, I'm not talking about that junior high up, I'm talking about elementary down, and kind of along the lines of what Stacy said, this 4-day calendar looks great, as far as it can bring a lot to the district, you know, so look what we're doing, not a whole lot of people are doing this. The teachers will benefit off of it, but, you know, that goes off my head a lot, but then you think about, you know, there's gonna be some kids out there in the community sitting at home wondering, I don't know what goes into, you know, within the snack pack. That's a great program. But I know there is a certain number, I didn't ask for that. How many snack packs CCS packs up on a weekend? I'm sure it's more than a handful. Then you factor in one more day of that. It is hard to stomach. I had thought about this quite a bit too. I've talked to people in different districts, some that have the 4 days, some that don't. The majority says great. Child care, of course, was the big one. So if the kids' families are on the free program for school, they can't afford the $30+ a week for the meals. Can they afford the $30 for a Friday child care? I would say $30. I don't know what the price of child care is. I know of one lady that has a daycare here locally. I'm pretty sure she's full at the moment, but I don't know what it's going to look like for those kids. So that's kind of what I was thinking. The other districts were about the same thing. One of the guys from Bushland said it's great, but his kids are in high school. He said he has kids coming up in the elementary school the next couple of years, and he doesn't know how he's going to handle that one. But he works shift work, and his wife works Monday through Friday. So around here locally, I don't know the numbers, but I'd say 30, I don't know, a third of the community around here works shift work at some point, some sort of fashion. Chromebook and the county work Monday through Thursday, off on Fridays. I don't know the data behind how many students whose parents work for those two. I'm sure it's not high. And then assuming that the rest of the community works either Monday through Friday or has one parent or a guardian at home. It's a tough one on this. The toughest part is just kind of kicking back going, how many kids are in the community alone at home? That's kind of my soapbox. That's the hardest one to stomach right there for me.
I do want to echo off of Rusty and Stacy, so thank you for all that. I believe you gave more than enough opportunities for everybody to be involved in this and give their thoughts and concerns. And being transparent, which is something we've pushed for a long time here, since I've been here at least, I know, and probably prior. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the hard work into that. I feel like you gave everybody an option to have a voice on this issue, and we have the results. So, thank you.
Appreciate everybody's input, comments. Anybody else have anything?
I have one more for Coach Ben. I forgot to ask you earlier. With a 4-day schedule, just 2 weeks prior to the school start date for 2 days for both, so just shifts, whatever start date that is. Still give you the same 2 weeks prior into July, sorry.
No, sir. So UIL has a specific date. It has no relevance to when schools start.
Okay.
So give me 1 second. I will tell you what the date is. It is August 3rd. It'll be July 31st. Volleyball and cross country are able to start July 31st. No different than last year. That would have been August 1st, would have been that Friday. Football is able to start on August 3rd. And that is a UIL sanctioned start date for sports.
Yeah, so what we'll have to do as a district is we're gonna have to coordinate a little more with the coaches on our trainings, because we'll come back as a staff and we'll have to coordinate with coaches so they can get their 2 days practices in and we can still get our training in. There'll be some coordination with us to make that work, but the kids start same time for that. We can't fix that one.
And with football, we're not able to do 2-a-days anymore, and with volleyball, I believe they've been roughly running a 3.5-hour practice. So like Ms. Earl said, being able to communicate and work together to make sure our staff is getting what they need, along with our students are getting what they need on the practice field. It's no different than what the second week looks like every year in 2-a-days, or what we call double days.
Mr. Jones, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I mean, I listened to all of it, and y'all agree. Like I said, it changed, but I support it change. I think what Ms. Earls has shared from the other districts, and so I think it's 21st century, so things are changing. And so I think, like I said, parents had a chance to voice. She worked hard to make sure nobody was left out. Teachers had a chance to voice. So I think that's what y'all decide. We're going to do what we need to do. Our students are our first priority, and we're going to make sure change. They're going to understand that this change. They're still going to get educated. We're not taking Fridays. They're going to come to school. We're going to work hard Monday through Thursday, take care of our business, and then enjoy a 3-day weekend. We're off to.
Thank you very much. So I think at the end of the day, our number one priority, of course, is taking care of our students, our kids. You know, making sure they're taken care of, making sure that nobody's going hungry, making sure they have the needs that they need met. And another priority is our grades, our not to suffer on our accomplishments and our grades in the classroom. And I think we've talked about that. We know what the plan would be if that happens. And of course, it's also good for the district, I think, because it's going to open up opportunities for us to draw in more employees, more certified teachers, and cover areas that we sometimes struggle to cover. So, I mean, I really appreciate everybody's input here today, because there's a lot of things to think about. This is not a quick, easy decision, but there is a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration. I appreciate all the work that the staff has done. You know, and I know Ms. Carter can attest to the fact that one of the things the state's going to look at is how our scores are going, and that's one thing it's going to have to be one of the priorities, not the main priority, but one of the priorities that we do cover. So, and I trust that with her and Kim and everyone, they'll keep a close eye on that. So.
I think it's probably the biggest 50-50 issue I've ever had to think about on the school board. It goes both directions, 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
The survey was.
I will say it's been the most nervous I've been up here on the, the most nerve-wracking thing I've brought to you.
I noticed we saved it for the last time.
Yes, we did.
I mean, I think it's great. I mean, the staff, the teacher, I mean, everybody. I mean, we have an exceptional staff here. The teachers are top notch. I have no complaints at all. They would do wonders for this. I think it'd do a lot of good things for the district. So.
I know a lot. Sorry. I know a lot of workplaces, mine included, and the refinery guys that are on daylights have most places, maybe not most places, but a lot of places around here have shifted to that, like a 980 schedule, off every other Friday, and kind of rotate shift work with all the plants, shift work with hospitals. I mean, parents are gonna, either way, they're either gonna adjust or it's gonna stay the same. Figure it out, see how it goes.
Well, and I just, real quick, I mean, y'all may have to take over my grandkids after this, but for the new guys on the board, we don't, most of the time we all kind of agree, because all of our parts and what we focused on is the same. But this is one of the things that even if we don't agree, we kind of put it out there. But at the end of the day, once we make our vote, no matter what, we're all going to support it. That's just the way we do it.
Okay. Giving me a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the 4-day school calendar for the 2026-2027 school year as presented.
Motion by Doug, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Logan. All in favor? 6 in favor, all opposed? All opposed? Motion passes. Campus reports. May I have a chance to go through those, look at them? We'll go ahead and go to the high school since Mr. Jones is here with us.
Is there anything you want to add to it?
No, like I said, trying to show you how high school students are doing from 4 to 6 weeks, and honor rolls and things of that nature, and then further down there, and showing the percentage how we're doing wise for our students, taking care of business and everything else. That's right there. So, our juniors did get their class. We didn't get Mother Nature interrupting us like we did last year and had to reschedule and put it off, I think, until March or sometime, but we had it worked off. Did great. Miss Tellinger has been busy with getting students involved in things and kind of show you the different things she's been involved with, along with Miss Lyons helped out a little bit too. Everything else, our seniors, a lot of things going on, getting them prepared. It's been a few weeks, I'm trying to remember what all I had in here, so.
High school is very busy right now with
Yes.
all the things.
Our, sure with Facebook, and I don't play on Facebook, but I'm sure y'all saw how well our BPA did when they went down to state and everything else, and so, like I said, very proud of them again. We have a number of kids beating there still. And we're going up against big schools too. I mean, we're not playing just 2A, we're playing everybody, so very proud of that organization. It's something I've never been involved with before, but Miss Gray, so they've done a great job with the students and everything else on that, so hope to have that more information for you on that. That's just completed right before spring break. We already had this stuff turned in. I can't even read that from here, so I'm sorry there. No, actually, my eyes aren't that strong anymore, so y'all have it for you. So anybody have any questions or concerns or anything about the high school events?
Well, I know that, what we talked about with the wrestling program, if they go to state, we've never denied anybody from going to state or nationals. We're gonna make it happen, whatever we gotta do.
That's the bet I had with the volleyball, not bet, with the coach offered his facial hair when the district, is that what they had to win this year?
Undefeated district.
Yeah, so they did that, so he had the pink. I told him, y'all go to state when, they don't have to win state, but we go to state, I'll do the top of my head in pink, so we got that out there. I'll even offer for football, we might come up with something for them, so I'll give up whatever, we get the best of our students, all I care about. I see them on a daily basis and know they're there. We just gotta get them motivated the right way. Classroom too, I'm excited about STAR testing coming up. I think our teachers have done a great job. I think our scores, I'm not a betting man because I don't like losing money, but I have faith in our students and our teachers. I think our stars are gonna be good this year.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Coach Bennett, you got anything you want to add on your report?
I guess the only thing I would add to it is Pantex relays. I just wanted to thank everybody from our community that came out and helped, all the staff members and administration of the building, to community members, to staff members at the high school, junior high and elementary. I thought it was a fantastic event. We had very, very high praise from the other schools, and our kids competed at a very high level, which is fantastic to see. So, but outside of that, like you can kind of see there, our sports programs kind of getting rolling in spring, and it is crazy. We're going every different direction.
That's amazing. We've got 90 kids in track. That's just between high school and junior high.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. District reports, business manager.
So on the financial summary, I don't usually talk about the graphs, but I got to looking at it. The top one is our general revenue, and we've collected more revenue for this current school year compared to the last 2 school years. And as far as expenditures, we're running pretty even as we did last year. We're setting at 50% should be spent of our budget. I highlighted the ones that were over budget, which is on the next sheet, Kendra. I did leave off the 41, but as far as being overspent by a lot, they're like setting at 56, 53, 55, and then the 62, that is the appraisal district, and that's just our appraisal payments. And them being over is simply because of what they've been over before. We had to do the amendment where we had to pay for our property value studies in 41, and then nurse restocking supplies, just general supplies and instruction, and then if we had anyone quit that we had to pay off, that's why those are over. The next one is a pie chart. Doug asked for me to give y'all a pie chart or graph kind of showing. So this is our current revenue by source as opposed to if it's local, state, or federal. We haven't received any of our federal money, which is generated by SHARS. And that's the program that we're tossing around. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Because they're going down as far as the reimbursements on the SHARS, I will say that, and that's statewide because they're starting to crack down on how much money they're handing out. But our local, our local revenue, we've collected, it's 11% of our revenue, and the state is 89%. But then I also threw in the next graph, which is a bar graph, and it's compared to what we had budgeted as opposed to what we've received. And so it kind of shows you the blue is what we had budgeted, and the orange is what we have received. So on our local, we've received 77.30 of our budgeted amount for local, and then we've received 71.17% of our state revenue. Are those kind of what you wanted?
Exactly what I want. Thank you very much.
And so the local revenue, of course, is the most efficient collection rate because we've received the $927,768.05 of our 222.72 budgeted. But our state revenue is the largest. That's where most of our money comes from. But we've collected 71.78% of that. And I'm going to let Ms. Earls talk about attendance, but it's running pretty much the same. Do y'all have any other questions? Or would y'all like to see anything else?
That's good.
That was actually kind of fun. It was a new thing I had to come up with, so I enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you for making me work.
Thank you for doing it.
Okay, curriculum director, Ms. Carr.
So I'm going to talk about our ELAR data. We've done math a lot, so I thought I'd throw in some ELAR. So the first one there is second grade, and so this is a DMAC test in second. This is probably the first DMAC test that second grade took all year because they don't really use the computers that much until the second semester in second grade. And of course, second grade's not STAR tested, but since they had given this, it looks like this was a 6 weeks test. I thought I'd throw it in there because it does look really good. There were no kids that were on STAR standard. There were no kids that did not meet STAR standard, so that looks promising. And then third grade, this is a released, so the rest of the elementary ones are released STAR tests from last year. So they took this in January, and then that way they can see what they need to work on. Then they'll take another release STAR test probably in the next week or two, and then they can really focus on the last month, what they need to work on to get the kids where they need to be. But if you could look on this third grade one, we had 11 kids that would have not met standard. Again, this is a whole STAR test, so the kids only had probably about 55% of what was on the test. So that looks really good. In fourth grade, the same thing. She only had 3 kids that were in the did not meet. So that looks great. Again, it's a release STAR test, and so now that they've seen that, she can really dial in on what they need to work on. And then in fifth grade, she had 9 kids below in the did not meet area, which again is not, it looks pretty good because, you know, this is, the kids have only covered about 55% of the material, so. The next one is 6th grade, and this was not an actual release STAR test, but it was STAR-like questions, and it was about the same length as a STAR test, so it was very similar to a STAR test. And there were 6 kids in there that were below in the did not meet area. Again, you know, you're only gone about 55-60% of the way through the school year, so now they know, you know, what they need to work on, and they still have more material to cover. So for both 7th and 8th grade, these are just a 6 weeks test, but all look really good. On the 7th grade, you have 3 kids that would have not met, and then on the 8th grade one, you have only 1 kid that would have not met STAR standard. And then on the last page is our high school, English 1 and English 2. These are just like unit tests. They haven't given benchmarks yet in the high school, so. And the data looks pretty good there. Looks like in English 1, you have 11 kids that would not have met, and then in English 2, there are 4. So at this time of year, everybody is working really hard and looking at all their data to see, you know, what things still need to be covered and what things need to be gone over again in order to get the kids where they need to be. So.
All righty, thank you. Anything else? Mr. Jason's not here, do you have anything?
Really, I mean, no, he didn't really have anything additional.
Okay.
He's not, the grant is still, he hasn't heard back from them.
Every month.
I know, he hasn't heard back. I already asked him, I haven't heard back. He's still waiting to hear back from the lady on the grant.
Okay. How about our projects?
Yes, so everything's going really well. We're pretty excited. We saved $117,455 on our elementary bond, and so that money we saved on that, so that was nice for us. Then we also got a $59,000 check back from Page and Associates from the things they held back. So we were actually able to put some money back into the fund for the bond. Miss Kirksey, we talked last time y'all approved the roof for the band hall. She made a few more calls and to the insurance company, and anyway, they decided to open back up our claim from many years ago. And so they are going to pay us, they're going to reimburse us around $111,000. So the $50,000 is about all we're going to be responsible for. It's because it's upgraded, an upgraded roof. So yeah. So
they could only replace what was currently on there.
Yeah.
And since we're upgrading it like we did the rest,
yeah.
we'll be only out 50. And we don't have to do the deductible either.
What was the initial cost of that one?
$168. So we're going to only pay $55 now. So pretty exciting about some of those savings that we can use for other things. The high school, the junior high is going really well with the fascia. They've ordered the metal, so that's on order, so we can get that added on. It's going to look really nice to get the metal on the junior high school. High school, they started the gym renovation. I'm sure you also will post on Facebook. But they're working on all of that. We did have to do an asbestos test on some tiles in the ceiling, and it came back clean, so we have no asbestos, so we were able to move on and not have to do any abatement, which thank goodness, because I'm super worried about how you abate with students in there. It's very expensive, so yeah, they're rocking on the high school project. Super excited to see what it's going to look like. We met with the architects yesterday and went over color samples, and it's going to look so good. I'm very excited to see it. I'm currently working on the compensation plan to include a pay scale for hiring new uncertified teachers. So in the House Bill 2, uncertified teachers have to be paid on a whole new pay scale versus certified teacher. And it's certified teachers that we hire new to the district. So anybody uncertified right now is working on certification. They're on the current pay scale. We don't drop them. But if we hire new teachers in the district uncertified, they'll be on basically a state base pay is what I'm looking at. I've got several samples from other districts, but that should be the incentive to get your certification done ASAP. If we do hire uncertified, we'll have to do waivers for some of them depending on the phase-in rules for the new certification standards. But we're hoping we don't have to worry about uncertified teachers. So that's just, we'll be putting that in place. There is a new, I don't know if you remember when Reading Academies started, the mandate for Reading Academies at the elementary school for K through 3 teachers. Well, there's a new Math Academy mandate that's coming out soon because statewide math scores are low. But it will be for K through 3, right? Math teachers. Next year, they're starting a pilot program for teachers to work through that. They're asking for volunteers. If you do the pilot, it doesn't count. And so then you have to do it again the following year. So needless to say, we're not volunteering for the pilot. We're going to wait until they actually start the real math academies, and we'll get our teachers through like we have done Reading Academies in the past. So that's a new state mandate. We're working on currently to get on the website some access for parents to be able to log in and figure out what books their kids are reading, so parents have access to what books your kids are checking out. And then parents will have the option to ban certain books from their students reading and stuff like that. So we've been working with technology. We're about there, and then I'll send out directions for parents in the district to be able to know how to monitor their kids' library materials and set up lists where they can't read certain things. So parents will have a little more control. That's one of the new state mandates from the legislature. And then Mr. Jones and I have been working pretty hand in hand with a couple volunteers in the community for the 1050, the drunk driving program we're going to put on for the high school. Brittany Keener and Whitney, I can't remember Whitney's last name off the top of my head. Phillips. Yes, they were the two that really kind of came to me first. Border had one, and they wanted us to be involved, but I didn't opt to do Border's program because I really just didn't think our kids would get the experience they needed with that many kids around something in Border, with Border kids participating. And so I was thankful we have, and Miss Kay's in there, she's going to be helping, but they're going to set a whole thing up. It'll have helicopters, cops. We're going to get our kids involved in the acting. Meeting with Mr. Jones tomorrow about the permission slips we're going to start sending out, requesting student volunteers. I'm hoping it makes an impact on our students to refrain from drunk driving. Doing this before prom, hopefully will be a good...
Same as every 15 seconds.
Yes, you just can't call it that because that's a trademarked name, so they came up with a name and, yeah, same program.
Well, I mean, same general idea.
Yes.
They
Yes.
have a Facebook page, it's called 1050 Broken Promises,
Yes.
that y'all can follow and kind of keep up with all the events and things.
Yeah. Should be pretty impactful, and I'm pretty excited about it. They've worked really hard to get the details down. And they're going to do the whole type of program where they have kids stay overnight at the church. They're going to write eulogies. There's going to be the whole thing. Kids will be pulled out of class by a Grim Reaper. So that's going to be happening April 30th and May 1st.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
That is a very impactful part of that.
Yes.
When kids get to experience it.
Yes. And that's another reason I chose not to partner with Border because, our kids, it's just not going to work. Their kids doing all the things, and then really, how do we get our kids being pulled? And the state, and we have a speaker coming to speak. So I think it's just going to be really good to have
I
it
try
here.
to do it every 2 years.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that. Our attendance is looking really good. We are, when I wrote this, we've increased by 9 students since February 4th. I think we've even gotten more this week of people moving in. So our attendance is staying really, really good. I'm pretty excited about that as well.
So, quick question on the bond.
Yes.
So we got like 170,000 here.
Mm-hmm.
Are we kind of at a wash with the money, or is this extra money that we can do other projects we want to do?
Well, the business person in me says it's in there, and yes, but we need to make sure that all the other stuff gets done first before you start going, hey, let's do this.
Yeah.
You get a car, you get a car.
This is the saving
On those projects.
Yes.
What'd you say the total cost was supposed to be on that?
Is it 1.2? The Bay Hall?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I think is the total cost of the Bay Hall. Is it 1.2 million? I want to say is the
I
estimate.
didn't see the final.
When we gotta pay how much?
I may be wrong. I won't tell you the wrong number. Oh, for the roof.
Yeah.
Oh, I think.
Oh,
I
for
said
the roof,
total.
for the roof, it's like 169,000 and
Yes.
something, and they're paying 111, 115.84, which left like 57,000 something for us to pay.
Yeah.
Almost $290,000 savings.
We've got a list of other improvements that, depending on how the bond, any overages, because we just found out, when we were looking over there yesterday, the doors on the competition gym, the doors going in, we started looking at them, they're terrible. So when they came out and looked at them, the whole frame, the frames are bad too. And so when they looked even more, the cinder blocks are damaged that they're holding the frames in. So we're gonna have to get cinder blocks fixed, new frames installed indoors. So we're waiting on quotes for that. So there's gonna be those little things, that pop up, but we don't wanna have, terrible doors if we're doing all the work on the gym to make it look nice. We need doors too, so that function, and they don't really open and close like they should. The door stops don't work, and so, there'll always be those things that will come up, but we're hoping we have some savings so we might can put some other projects in the district too. We've been super happy with Page and Associates.
I know there were some projects that we worked on there,
Mm-hmm.
so just keep on with us.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, set a date for next month's meeting.
I'd like to do an early meeting if we can to try to get teacher contracts through, but whatever you guys want to do.
I'm pretty open right now.
You are?
I'm pretty open right now.
Anybody got any preferences?
Good with any.
The 8th?
Good early enough.
Sure.
Does 8th work for everybody? Works for me. Set it as April 8th. That's all I have. Oh, one other thing, Kim sent out a deal about some training they're gonna have in Canyon here in spring, school board training. That's a great way to get several hours, it's about 5, 6 hours. But it's always, they have breakout sessions. It's kind of like the state training you go to, they have different breakout sessions. You go to attend and get your credit hours in, so. If you wanna go, I'll plan on going to it, so we can all get together, do however we can to get there. Okay. Call us into closed session. Discuss personnel, Texas Government Code 551.074, discussion regarding administrative positions. Discuss personnel, Texas Government Code 551.074, discuss staff resignations. Call us in at 7:40. into order at 8:29. Have any recommendations on contracts?
I recommend you approve certified administrator term contracts of Christy Brown, Jennifer Carr, Brent Drury, Jason Garrison, Sean Jones, and Lucretia Rakin through the 27-28 school year.
Okay, I have a recommendation, I have a motion.
I move to approve the certified administrator term contracts of Christy Brown, Jennifer Carr, Brent Drury, Jason Garrison, Sean Jones, and Lucretia Rankin through 2027-2028 school year.
I have a motion by Chad, I have a second.
Second.
Second by Stacy, all in favor? No opposed? Passes. Right, next recommendation.
I recommend you approve a certified administrator coach dual term contract through the 27-28 school year for Brandon Bennett.
Okay, I have a recommendation, I have a motion.
I move to approve a certified administrator/coach dual term contract through the 2027-2028 school year for Brandon Bennett.
I have a motion by Doug, I have a second.
Second.
Second by Josh, all in favor? None opposed? Was that?
No.
You're a little slow there, right?
Give me a second in.
Okay, next one.
I recommend to approve a non-certified administrator contract through the 27-28 school year for Courtney Kirksey.
Okay, I have a recommendation, I have a motion.
I move to approve a non-certified administrator contract through the 2027-2028 school year for Courtney Kirksey.
I have a motion by Logan, I have a second.
Second.
Second by Chad, all in favor? None opposed? Motion passes.
The news crew didn't stay for it.
Is that all?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Third. All in favor? No ones opposed.